Hello traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix, and I want to welcome you to the week ahead video for September 16th, 2018. Now before I get started on today's video, I want to say if you haven't tried out ForexAnalytix, make sure you do so. It's only $1 for 10 days. All you have to do is click on the little link right here, right in the middle. It says sign up today right here. Click on that and you'll go through the registration process, which is really fast, and then you can use ForexAnalytix. You can have all this analysis that a lot of it I'm about ready to go over with you. You can have it right at your fingertips once you download our mobile application. You can do that in the App Store or the Google Play Store, and try it out. It's only $1. $1. That's a third, no, yeah, maybe a third of a cup of coffee at Starbucks. That's cheap. Anyway, try it for 10 days. You'll like it. And once you do that, make sure you check out our chat room. Our chat room is a lot of fun. It's right here in, you can see right here, this little area. This is the ForexAnalytix chat room. You can just click right here and you can log in. And I'm not going to take you to it right now, but you guys make sure you do that. It's for the ForexAnalytix community exclusively. Now, you know, we're in a range right now with the dollar. And, I'll take you over to the dollar index really quick, but I want to discuss kind of what's happening on a macro scale here in a moment, which is going to make a lot of this a little bit more, give us a little bit more sense here. Here's the dollar index. And the dollar index, as you can see, I just tried to move the chart, but I'm not going to. We just bounced off of some support right here. It's a pretty key level support around the 94.50. We're trying to develop this like longer term head and shoulder pattern. The problem is with the dollar index is that over the weekend, the couple things. The U.S. is going to impose another 200 billion in tariffs to China. The dollar had a nice reversal, you know, because the dollar tends to firm when there's a trade war, and that's kind of what I guess what I'm trying to say is that we're gonna impose more tariffs. But China at the same time, just over this weekend, they announced that they're considering skipping trade talks with the U.S. Why? Well, it's pretty simple, because if they cut a deal or they perceive to cut a deal, they're not too sure if they cut a deal if it's just going to get swatted right back down by the president. So if it doesn't meet his approval. So, China, you can see that they're a little frustrated with this situation. Now, will it be resolved? It might in the coming weeks, maybe even in the coming days. But for right now, as it heats up, as this trade war heats up, the dollar is probably going to benefit from it a little bit more. So even though we have this potential setup of a head and shoulder pattern here, it's just a setup. And unless we, in my opinion, we actually have to break back below 94 in the dollar index in order for us to be, or at least for me to be comfortable with a continued dollar pullback. As of right now, we are making longer term higher lows, higher highs, okay? And if we put in a low here and we move up towards 98, I'm just using that as an example, that would be another example of making higher lows or consistent lows and higher highs. So don't write off the dollar yet. I think that's kind of dangerous. And I'm going to show you. If you look at the euro, let's go over to the euro dollar. You can do it this way too. A couple different ways you can go about this. Here's the euro, and here's the daily chart. We were right up against big trendline resistance here. We rejected, and by the way, this is what we call dark cloud cover as far as a candlestick pattern goes on the euro. This is a bearish candle. Yeah, you could tell that because it's a big red candle, but it's also a dark cloud cover development, which should lead us lower, in my opinion. Below 115.30, things are going to get pretty bearish for the euro, in my opinion. And that's just the opposite that we are looking at with the dollar index. Here is the cable. Pound, same thing. We have this like minor channel that we were following. You can see the minor channel we're following, but we're at the upper end of the channel. Chances are, if we remain in this channel, we're going to see 129 again. We're at 130, 130.50, 130.60. So 129 doesn't seem, out of the ordinary, especially, ongoing trade tensions. Then you got ongoing Brexit talks. So the pound looks like it could pull back. Let's take a look at the Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar looks extremely bearish. We're in this nasty down channel. You can see this this move right here. It was capped by previous support. So previous support acts as current resistance. We're in a down channel. We could very easily see 70 cents this week, especially as China and the U.S. trade talks heat up. It's really going to have a negative impact more on the Aussie. Same with the Kiwi. Kiwi doesn't look much better. It does look a little better, but not much better. I mean, the Kiwi's in a downtrend, and you can see we're near that. This is a pretty big support level. There's a confluence of some supports down here, but below 65 cents, and the bottom really opens up with the Kiwi to the downside. So as I'm showing you this, and I'm showing you just these few currency pairs, you've got the euro, the pound, the Aussie, the Kiwi. They all look like they could continue lower. And by the way, this is a bearish engulfing candle as well. So bullish, or excuse me, bearish pattern setting up on all of the, those four majors. And that's not the total dollar index, but even if you look at like let's go over to the US dollar Canadian. Sorry, I just skipped over it. Here's the dollar. Here's the dollar Canadian. The dollar Canadian, although it is, and that's the weekly chart. Here's the daily chart. We got a little lift off of support here. NAFTA is not done, and I talked about this in our free webinars late last week. If you think about the situation that you're in NAFTA, you've got President Trump, who's been pretty vocal and pretty vocal, is really talked negatively about the U.S.-China relationships or U.S. and Canadian relationships. And if you're Canada and you're Justin Trudeau, he's probably thinking, if I just hold off, agreeing to NAFTA until after the midterms, maybe that will have a negative impact on the Trump administration and his, political agenda as we head into midterm elections. So you got Trudeau that's trying to probably prolong the NAFTA, a NAFTA negotiation process. But then again, you have President Trump, who's probably trying to make sure he puts a win or a feather in the cap for his administration ahead of midterms, just so the Trump administration can say, hey, we did a deal with Canada and Mexico. So you're seeing pressure on both sides with the dollar Canadian, with Canada and the US. So the chances of us getting a NAFTA deal done here really soon, like within the next couple of weeks, I don't think is that good. And the reason why that matters is because that means the Canadian dollar may continue to be weak. We might see the dollar Canadian back at 133, maybe back at 134 and change. And that's a risk. As I was showing you, the dollar looks like it has the potential to continue to rally against the euro, the pound, the Aussie, the Kiwi, and now the Canadian. Now, the last currency pair I'm going to show you is the dollar yen. The dollar yen is I think is a really tricky pair because it has been range bound. It wants to strengthen, as the dollar is strengthening, but a lot of traders are still stuck on buying yen if there's any risk aversion. And if you look at stocks, by the way, and I'm not going to take you through the equity markets right now. Make sure you tune in to our FACE webinar tomorrow morning or on Monday morning. It's free, and I'll cover the S&P there. But if the S&P and the NASDAQ and the Dow start to see a little bit of selling pressure, especially as these talks between U.S. and China fall apart, or it looks like they're falling apart, if equities start to see some downside pressure, the question is, will the yen respond? Will the yen be bought? We haven't seen the yen really strengthen too much, but we also haven't seen much quote unquote risk aversion either. So it's going to be interesting to see how the dollar yen responds. But as I pointed out, the dollar does look like it could strengthen against the euro, the pound, the Aussie, the Kiwi, and even the Canadian. And last I wanted to bring up is precious metals. You know, the precious metals market, you know, whether you're looking at silver or whether you're looking at gold, silver is, you know, stuck in this really nasty downtrend. Gold is at least trying to base a little, but it's going to be really tough to play. It's going to be really tough to play the precious metals to the upside while you have you know, dollar strength. So I think you got to be very careful with trying to play the precious metals on the long side. If the dollar is strong and the dollar continues to strengthen, be a little careful. And I'll just show you gold. Gold's trying to base here. I think that we did put in a pretty good low here at 111.60. I don't know if we're going to go back and at least retest it, but I've tried to play gold to the long side. Silver, you know, until silver gets above 1430 and gold really starts to, you know, get above 1215 or so on spot prices, you got to be real careful trying to play the precious metals on the long side. But overall, guys and gals, you know, the dollar looks poised to at least rally at the beginning of part of this next week. So just keep that in mind. And as far as the data goes this next week, you know, we don't have a whole lot of data coming out this next week, but we do have the BOJ on Tuesday night, which would be Wednesday morning if you're in Asia. And then on Wednesday, we have UK CPI. Draghi speaks a couple of times next week. We have New Zealand GDP. And Thursday, we actually have UK retail sales. And then Canadian, we have retail sales and CPI towards the end of the week on Friday. So not a ton of US data coming out this week. It's all second tier, third tier type of stuff. But we'll be paying attention to really what's going on with trade, especially China and the US, but also we can't forget about Mexico, Canada, and the US as well. So trade's going to be the center of discussion. It's probably going to be what's moving the FX market a lot this next week. So guys and gals, if you found this video helpful, please hit the thumbs up button on YouTube, and make sure you share it with other traders. Retweet this video if you found it via a tweet, and make sure you subscribe to our channel, so even if you can't listen to our interviews, which by the way, Dale Pinkert is expected to come back on Monday, so we'll start having good he's been fighting pneumonia for the last couple of weeks, so we're happy to have him back, and we're happy to start again our interviews with, you know, the trading and investment community. We have a lot of great interviews throughout the course of the week, so make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of those, even if you can't listen to them live. So guys and gals, my name is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for listening to the week ahead video. I look forward to seeing you on the FACE webinar tomorrow morning or on Monday morning. You guys have a great remainder of your weekend. Bye-bye.